Hello guys, how's it going? My name is Dalaran, and in today's video, we'll be talking a little bit about covenants, choices, consequences, and a little bit about Ripcord. First of all, a question. What is the last time you've looked through a gaming magazine? I remember last time it was maybe a teenager or younger, just looking through a variety of different games, only having a PlayStation 2, and not a lot of money to afford many games. I always wondered what else is out there for PC, for Xbox. And in this video, we'll actually be taking a look at some of the new information from a gaming magazine, a PC Gamer, as they put Shadowlands The Jailer on the front cover, although it's a CGI rendering. Not sure if Blizzard is actually going to make him look anything like it. But we also have some more information inside of the magazine itself pertaining to the Covenant abilities, and strong emphasis on choices and consequences, which makes you think of the Ripcord, obviously. So there's the beautiful man himself, the Jailer, on the front cover of PC Gamer. A CGI rendering, which makes him look a little bit more older and vicious. Some of you guys have pointed out when I posted this picture on the community tab of YouTube, you guys have said he either looks like an orc from Lord of the Rings, which I can kind of agree, but some of you said he reminds you a little bit of the Dreadlords. Apparently there is some sort of connection between Dreadlords and the Jailer lore-wise. I don't want to harp on this for too long because that's not the purpose of the video. But if Blizzard is able to connect the Dreadlords and Shadowlands somehow together, I actually get kind of excited because I remember the Dreadlords so familiarly from Warcraft 3, the original before the Reforged, and that would be actually kind of cool. But in the PC Gamer article, there are also a couple more pages for us to look at. Pages that might suggest why Blizzard decided to go so ham on the Ripcord community, and that's why there might not even be a Ripcord. First, let's start from the beginning. What is Ripcord? So the Covenant abilities themselves have a class ability and a specific Covenant ability, whether it be the teleport, sweet teleport for the Venthyr, the Fox form for the Fae, you have the shield from Maldraxxus, and you have a very helpful steward with some grape juice from Bastion. And every class is going to have a class-specific ability. However, some of these abilities are not made equal. Some of them are stronger than others, and some are weaker than others. Some abilities are better in certain situations, like some have a PvP focus, others have a better single-target raid environment focus, and others are so much better for Mythic Pluses that it's not even worth arguing about. The community is unsure if Blizzard can balance these abilities properly, so they asked Blizzard, is it possible to pull the Ripcord and allow players to be able to switch covenants freely? Ripcord refers to Ian Hazacosta's doing an interview with Preach WoW, saying that in case this whole covenant thing does not work, there's always a Ripcord we can pull. Ripcord referring to like a parachute Ripcord. You pull it, the parachute opens, and you have a safe landing instead of having the whole system crashing face first into the ground. And Blizzard came out in a recent update saying apparently there is no Ripcord in the developer update. The Covenants will have the uniqueness in choosing a Covenant, as well as the cosmetics and the storylines and the characters you might want to experience the game with, all the NPCs and different storylines that they offer, are all going to be part of a whole fundamental choice of which Covenant do you choose to ally with. The Ripcord community desperately wanted for Blizzard to allow you to switch Covenants like you would talents. So for a couple of reasons. One, certain abilities are better in certain situations. So if you're a min-maxer, you can do the most and squeeze the most out of those abilities. Second, people won't be denied from groups in LFG nearly as much if they could switch. For example, how many of you guys have played a druid, maybe you're a feral, and you've been asked, hey, are you a balanced druid before you join your Mythic 15 for the week, and then just to get declined just because you play a spec that you like? Well, the Ripcord community wanted to avoid being declined from groups, as they saw Covenants as just another one of those things besides racials and class choice and spec choice in some cases, where players are simply just going to get denied from groups. Besides fear of being the last kid picked at dodgeball, and besides the fear of not being able to min-max your character based on different abilities that you can choose with the Covenants, there's also a little bit of a fear of, wait, lore-wise, does this make any sense? You're the Mallwalker, you're supposed to be helping all parts of the Covenants, all parts of the Shadowlands. Why do you have to exalt only one of them and put them on a pedestal? But as just a short version, there's a lot more detail most likely that I'm missing here. I'm just trying to condense it as best as I can. Long story short, Blizzard said we are going to keep Covenants very unique and specific. Some players were okay with it, some players were really unhappy with it, but this is where we are with the Covenants. But with this magazine, it might have given us a bit of an idea of where we are heading to and why Blizzard might have decided that, you know what, these Covenant things are going to be unique. One of the pages of the magazine says, no decision in the world of Warcraft matters more than your race and class. Every character from Hardcore Raiders to that level 14 Undead Warlock you started 6 years ago on a whim but never touched again is defined by these two traits, and few of the choices you make in the countless hours that unfold after starting new adventure are ever as meaningful. Well, the work of Shadowlands is going to change that. Choice and consequence. Before we go on talking more about this, it could potentially be that the article is just hyping up the game. That's all. Maybe this is something that Blizzard have told them in an interview. Maybe that's kind of how they describe the game, and they're simply just kind of trying to help Blizzard sell the product based on what Blizzard told them. I don't know how these magazines things work in most cases, like in terms of the interviews and how they figure out the covers. Maybe all this is just a bunch of hype in order to put in a magazine to sell more copies. Or maybe this could be where Blizzard is kind of heading into with these covenant abilities. Why they're putting the foot down on not making covenant abilities as easily switchable. This is different than switching covenants in the game right now. In Shadowlands beta currently, and it seems like what they're going to be doing for the release, if you want to switch your covenant, if you feel like you made a wrong choice, you can easily switch to another covenant. You drop your current covenant and you join the one that you like. That's really easy to walk away from your current covenant. However, what they made difficult is to switch back to your covenant. So if you decided you want to play Maldraxxus, but you feel like all these undead minions smell and the ability doesn't offer enough flavor and the mod kind of sucks, and you really want to play Ventir, the game is going to let you switch from your covenant easily. The only part of the game that's actually right now, unless Blizzard makes changes in the next few days, is the difficulty of going back to the covenant you were previously in. But what is the possibility that the article, of course it could be there just for the hype of their own, but what if it's there to kind of echo the ideals that Blizzard has for this expansion? What if they are looking at the whole covenant thing as a massive influential choice, and what if we were to take it as it is on paper and look at it as a choice of race and a choice of class? I feel like this article is almost written for players that are thinking of maybe coming back for Shadowlands, as it talks about race and class as important choices. Currently in WoW, you can't really change your classes easily. You have to level a new one, so that still sticks. But racials, I feel like, play a little bit less of a role than they did back in vanilla, or I guess than they do back in Classic right now. Because in Classic, racials kind of a big deal. Choosing the proper race-class combo actually means something. In the current WoW, you can kind of play any class with any race combo. Some are more optimal than others, but you don't really lose nearly as much. But in vanilla, from talking to a buddy of mine who did play back in vanilla, choosing that race class combo gave you an advantage. Rogues against priests and warlocks, to actually be able to get away from the fears, have to be undead. It was a no-brainer. And if you weren't a troll as a caster, what were you doing? Having a human as a warrior with a sword was a little bit better than being a night elf with a sword. However, a night elf in PvP was a more superior choice than that of a human. There's another page of the article that we do also get to see, but it talks more about the flavor stuff from World of Warcraft, but then it also does reiterate the whole consequences and choices thing. Now, is this maybe why Blizzard decided that they want to keep the Covenant abilities and really separate, instead of letting people make changes, to really emphasize the choices and consequences into World of Warcraft? It's an interesting concept for sure, and it's something that I think you probably have read in multiple articles or Reddit posts, comments, forum posts, anything, where players said that, well, in RPGs technically do have choices. We will see how this ends up working out for when it comes to this expansion. I'm very much hoping that the Covenant abilities do get balanced out, and for the most part, it won't really end up being that big of a deal. I mean, how much effect could only 2 abilities really make? Or at least, well, it sounds pretty easy on paper. In the end, my hopes for Covenant abilities is they'll be impactful but not super. I'm really hoping they're not as strong as corruptions, because a class with best in slot corruptions can do extreme amounts of DPS in comparison to a class that doesn't have the best in slot corruptions equipped. I mean, the damage difference can be like 20k, which is quite significant. I'm hoping they'll be more akin to racials, and let's say picking the best in slot racial, the most optimal, or the least optimal, results in about a 1% give or take gain of performance. So I'm hoping maybe they're a little bit more impactful than racials, but I'm hoping they're a lot less impactful than corruptions. And I guess that will be enough for me to be happy, as the Shadowlands so far, as an expansion with all the different features, looks very, very exciting, and I still cannot wait. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know your thoughts about this article, and I'll see all of you guys in another video.